this year. As many of you know, our former CEO, Amber Kelleher, left us at the end of last year. And I knew at the time it was going to be a big job to replace Amber. We were extremely fortunate to be able to find an interim CEO to help us through these past few months. Keith Barsoon has done an outstanding job of keeping all the many balls in the air and making sure that he didn't drop any of them. Keith also staffed our search committee as we went through the long process of finding and hiring just the right person to lead our organization. I can't say enough positive things about our search committee. I know several of them are on the call today. It was led by Ed Rivera and included Susan Gilmore, Barbara Edmond, Mary Tyler, Jeffrey Wilcox, and myself. This team of amazing people worked countless hours over many months. And I actually went back and looked at my calendar yesterday, and we held our first search committee meeting on January 26th. So that's how long it's been. But I'm thrilled to let you know that we were successful and we did find the right person for the job. Carol brings a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience to this position, as well as energy and enthusiasm. She is so upbeat and fun, and I know you're going to enjoy getting to know her. So we've prepared a few questions that I'm going to ask Carol to respond to. And if we have time at the end, we'll ask if any of you have other questions that you would like to ask Carol. And if you do, please put it in the Q&A, and we'll have her answer as many questions as we have time for. So, okay, let's get started. Here we go. So Carol, like many of us, you served as the CEO of a local United Way. Tell us a bit about your time at the United Way of Greater McHenry County, and what do you think was your major accomplishment while you were there?
Well, thank you, Deborah. I appreciate the warm welcome and so many of you joining today. It's really an exciting time for United Way Next. And as a new leader, you know, I guess what I would say, my experience at the United Way of Greater McHenry County, I loved being a part of the community, of the area that I lived and I grew up in. And when I arrived at the United Way of Greater McHenry County, like many of our local United Ways, we were struggling with our financial position and sustaining a campaign that had really been declining over the years. And so when I came to the United Way, what I really wanted to make sure I was able to provide was the type of leadership that my community would embrace. And when they had a pressing need, they would think of the United Way first. And initially, when I arrived, our phone never rang. And I don't know that that was necessarily a bad thing, because not a lot of people were making phone calls unless they were looking for services. But the calls that I was looking for were the people in the community who are community leaders or even supporters who want to make that gift, right? And what I'm most proud of is the reputation that we had after I arrived and kind of rejuvenated things in the community as the right place to call for whatever they needed. And that might have been individual people in the community who were looking for services, but it was also key community leaders and donors. And my favorite call was the $10,000 gift that I got unsolicited that came from someone who had been a part of our network a long time. And he just said, with all the pressing needs in the community, he felt inspired to make that call and make that gift. And it wasn't someone I would have expected it from. So I think those are some of the things that just really brought value in that role and the importance of leading this local United Way.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So I know that you have also served on the United Way of Illinois Executive Committee and Board of Directors. So tell us more about what your role was there, and I think still is, and what you were able to achieve.
Yeah, so I was on the board of directors from the beginning. So because a person in my role in McHenry County resigned, there was an open seat on the United Way of Illinois Board of Directors. So they, asked me to just step right in and take the seat. What I didn't realize when I joined the United Way of Illinois is that I was one of the only brand new people at that time. So in 2017, I was alone on the island, brand new CEO, had limited nonprofit leadership experience, and joined a room full of people who were all long-term United Way people who have worked for 15, 20, 30 years in the network. And so what I'm most proud of the time that I was there is I was asked to serve on the executive committee in 2019 as the incoming chair, and just finished my term as the outgoing chair at the end of July. And through that experience, realized what a rich network this community of United Way leaders is at the state level, and how important each and every one of those local communities are to the work that we do, and that we have peers across the network that we can tap on the shoulders every day to say, hey, can I call on you for some added support? And building that culture within our state association was so important to me, because I didn't want anyone to be alone on the island. And so during my time, especially this last year, we were able to launch a CEO onboarding program where we have regularly 12 people participating in that group. And then we additionally started for our entire membership, current staff, anyone in any role can participate in an educational series that was launched on the first Thursday of the month with some pressing topics, like hot topics that you'd want to know more information about, topics that would resonate with any local United Way leader or staff member, like how do you complete your membership certification, or the Database 2 survey, or most importantly, how do we diversify our revenue and create some new funding streams that will uplift our organization, and most importantly, help us invest in our community. And so those are some of the things that we did as a state association. And it really took a team. It wasn't just me. It was a committee of people who served on both the CEO onboarding and that program committee that ultimately helped make this all happen. So really proud of the work that we do as a state association.
That's terrific. And it sounds like you could use some of those examples in your new role with United Way Next. Am I right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's really one of the things that inspired me about this opportunity, was to take the information that we've all, learned over our lifetime and carry it forward, and then expand that across the entire country and even globally to help other local United Way leaders and their teams.
Sounds great. So I'm going to pause here and welcome Keith. Keith, I was singing your praises before you joined us, so you missed out. So you'll have to just know that I was saying nice things about you.
Thank you. My phones were ringing. I heard it.
Okay, good. So, Carol, you have been a guest faculty member at the Great Rivers Conference for several years. So why did you get involved with the conference? What topics did you speak about? And what do you think that you had to offer that they wanted you and keep asking you back?
Yeah, well, I will tell you my experience with Great Rivers the first year was I joined the United Way of Greater McHenry County on February 20th of 2017. And the next week, our team left to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin for the first, my first opportunity at Great Rivers. And the minute I arrived, I could tell the people that I was meeting were people like, you and me, all of us, right? And people who really had a passion for their community. And by the time we left Great Rivers that year, my former colleague, Heather Arnold, as we were driving home in the car, I said, what's something you learned? And she said, I learned that you and I have the potential of being guest faculty. And we are going to be talking about our success in the future, right? So she was thinking about 2 years down the road when we're doing really great things. I want to make sure that we're back here sharing our words of wisdom with our peers. And that's exactly what we did. We came back to Milwaukee in 2019, and our topic was, or the title of our session was entitled, Growing Your Campaign by 16%. Now you can imagine everybody that signed up for the conference wanted to be in that session because they are like, how did they grow their campaign when workplace campaigns were down? And so some of the things we talked about in that session were really some of the unique things we were doing. But we also talked about like brand awareness and elevating ourselves on social media and just being present in the community, but showing that through social media. And that's really helped us elevate ourselves in a way that we hadn't been doing in the past. And so when we finished the session, we had such great results from it. People said 75 minutes wasn't enough. Would you please come back next year and do a 3-hour deep dive? And we were like, woo, our heads were blown, right? Like, this is amazing. We were so grateful to have such a warm welcome by our peers. And so it just inspired us to keep coming back. So the next year we did a deep dive. And then I did my own leadership session, which was, I'm not sure the exact title, but it was focused on, as a leader, a local United Way leader, being bold and courageous in our roles and not being afraid to step out and just do the things that we know are right, that are ultimately going to impact our community in a positive way.
Fantastic. Thank you. So we really all want to know you better as a person. So will you tell us a little bit about your personal background, your family, and what is it in your life that fills you up?
Yeah, a lot of things. So I'm a grandma and I have 3 grandchildren. So I will, no offense to my children, I love them too, but I have 2 little granddaughters, Selena and Isabella, and they both live in Germany with my youngest son and his wife. And I'm fortunate to have been provided the opportunity to leave next Thursday to go to Germany for a little vacation, which was pre-planned prior to accepting this role. So I'm so excited to go and see them. I haven't seen them since last January. So I'm just really anxious to be there to just give them hugs and kisses. They are turning 8 and 2 in October. And then I have a grandson named Emerson, who is going to be 1 at the end of November. He currently resides in Texas and in 2 weeks is moving to Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, which is an hour and a half from where my husband and I live. So he will be much closer and I'll get to spend a lot more time with him. So I spend a lot of time with my husband. We have a place in Florida. So I will share a little bit about that in a minute. My husband and I have 3 children. We're a second marriage. So we've been through a lot of different things in our lifetime, but together we have 3 boys and they're all living great lives and doing really well. And I keep my fingers crossed because that's what we want for our children, is to be happy and healthy and things to be going well. So personally, I love to flower garden. My parents always made us weed the garden when I was a kid, which I didn't love. But I've decided, my mom had some flower bulbs that I was able to take from her gardens, and I planted them in my back flower bed, and I watch these flowers grow and bloom, and it makes me think of my mom and dad, which is really positive. And I also like to play cornhole. So for anyone who knows what cornhole is, it's bags, it's pretty popular. Have not tried pickleball, but I'm thinking about it. So, and I shared with the board when they were in the process of hiring me, I said, one of my greatest joys was playing cornhole in a tournament on New Year's Day, when the majority of the people that had played cornhole the year before were all the men that live in our Florida complex. And this was the first time they invited the women to the group, and we won the tournament. So I was like, yes, I'm a fan of cornhole. So I've been not playing as much in the summer, but definitely in the winter months when I'm in Florida. So those are some of the things, personally about me. And I just like to live a happy life and try to do things that are going to bring me joy every day, whatever it is. Small things, big things, just makes me happy. And spending time with my family has, been really intentional this last year, as I kind of took a pause to fill myself up a bit.
So can you tell us a little bit about your career background? What did you do before you went to McHenry County as CEO? That'd be great.
Yeah, so I graduated from college way back in 1989, And upon graduation, had gotten a real estate license, which was intentional because I thought, I might want to take a hand in this career. So I sold real estate for about 6 years, very successfully. Loved, I'm a salesperson, right? It's just natural for me, in which I look at that as it's just relationship building 101. Had a great career in real estate sales, got married to my first husband and moved up to northern Wisconsin, where we bought a bar, restaurant, and resort just north of Eagle River. And for 5 years, we ran that business and very successful, very fortunate to just have a lot of snow in the winter months, which is needed if you're going to run that kind of business. And then left our bar and restaurant. We sold it when my son was born, and I got into banking. And I had a 10-year career in banking, loved everything I learned in banking. The bank was acquired. I stayed along in that journey until in 2009, when my position was eliminated, and I had a choice to make. And, most people would look at that as it was really devastating and sad, and it was. It was a painful time for me, but it also caused me to reflect on my life and realize I had built a lot of skills and I could pretty much do whatever I wanted to do. It was just a matter of setting the course in that direction and going after it. So I started in a career in higher education, and this is the path that brought me to the United Way. Is I had been helping people all along in all of my careers, but it wasn't until I worked in higher ed and I was recruiting adult learners to go back for their master's degree that suddenly I realized I wanted to do more. I wanted to make a bigger impact on my community and the people who live there. And so after working in higher education for about 8 years, I had this moment of what's next, and literally felt like I was supposed to be doing something bigger than where I was, recruiting 400 students a year and helping them transform their lives and get their degree and really be able to elevate themselves and come out of maybe a time when they weren't making a lot of money to really set themselves up, right, for a good life. Was like, what's next? And the role at United Way was posted, and I knew immediately, I was like, I'm meant for this work. That's where I belong. I need to be in my community, working in my community for my community. And that's how I got to United Way Greater McHenry County, and ultimately what brought me here.
And the rest is history, right?
Yes, it is.
So you mentioned that you split your time between Illinois and Florida. So can you tell us what made you and your husband decide to do that? And does it really work to have 2 residences?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So you all learn this about me very soon. If you haven't already figured it out, I'm kind of like a strategic visionary. I see this picture, I look ahead and I think, how is this picture going to come to fruition? So my husband is a school teacher. He retired in December of 2020. And when we got married in 2004, we started going to Florida on vacation every year. And because we have, our children have other parents, we could actually go on a vacation alone. And every time we went to Florida, we said, long-term, we want to be in Florida in retirement. We want to live here. We want to enjoy this beautiful weather. I'm a sunshine and warmth person. I have to be warm. I don't like to be cold. And I love wearing sundresses and sandals. So like, I could do that every day for the rest of my life. I don't care where I'm at, I'll be happy. And so we made the decision in 2007 to buy a small little 500 square foot condo on Marco Island. Wasn't at the lowest price point, so we could have waited a year or two and probably gotten a better bargain, but we made that commitment and that investment. And obviously we've made that work now for the last few winters. It's been a complete joy to live in a community of vibrant people. All retirees, my husband and I both being retired last winter, we enjoyed every moment of that community. And it really works for us because we strategically decided to sell our big home, which wasn't that big, when our kids moved out of the house, and we downsized into a condo 7 years ago. And that's where I am today in Marengo, Illinois, in this little condo that we have, which we love. And we get to enjoy the Midwest weather in the summer, right? Not a lot of heat, not a lot of humidity, although I love that. And it's been working beautifully. So I would encourage people, don't wait until you retire to think about your future and where you want to be. Think about it when you're still working and make a plan, cast the vision and set the plan in motion. Because we bought this place we're in Marengo at a time when the price point was really low. So if we ever decide to liquidate it, we'd be in a great position financially to, pay off our other mortgage and just live a happy, healthy life in Marco Island. So we just love it. We love the freedom of both, and there's no work to be done. My husband doesn't spend time doing yard work or any of that because we've made conscious decisions.
So do you drive back and forth or do you fly?
Well, we have 2 cars. We keep one in Florida. We're going to keep one in Florida and one in Illinois, but we've been driving that other car to Florida. I'm trying to convince him we only need one vehicle, but he still thinks that I'm going to want to go shopping. And I said, I haven't been shopping in years, right? Online. Why would I be doing that? So, but yeah, for now we've been driving back and forth.
Okay.
At some point I can convince him to leave the car in Florida and we'll just fly back.
Sounds good. So when you interviewed for the CEO position, and as you mentioned a few minutes ago, you were in the real estate business, but you told us that you love to sing and that you use the tagline, the Singing Realtor, to your advantage in creating a really successful personal brand for yourself as a realtor. So you got to tell us more about this. So tell us about being the Singing Realtor.
Okay, so if there's anybody on the phone or on the line today that's from the Chicago area and you grew up in this area, you may remember a gentleman by the name of Harry Schmerler. Now, Harry was the singing Ford dealer, and he was on WGN singing as I was growing up as a kid. So, here I am in the real estate industry, and I'm thinking I need to brand myself way before, I don't even know if personal branding was a thing back then. There was no social media. We didn't even have a computer when I started at my office. And I worked for Century 21. We had the gold coat. So I wore my gold coat everywhere. And I always have sang, like I've been a singer my whole life. If I had had it my way, my parents would have put me through singing lessons when I was 9. And I would have been on Broadway because that's ultimately what I thought I wanted to do as a kid. So I find myself here in the real estate market. I realize that the majority of the people in the business are women, they're tall and they're blonde. And I kept thinking, if anybody walks in and asks for the tall blonde, they're going to think, which one? But if they ask for somebody like the Singing Realtor, there's no question it was me. So I had this idea because people kept saying 2 questions they would ask. Do you still sell real estate? And are you still singing? Well, I had on my gold coat, so they could obviously get the answer to the first question. And then I would say, yes, I'm still singing. So then I had this moment of, well, wait a minute. My maiden name was Sherma. So if Harry Schmerler can be the singing Ford dealer, why can't Carol Shermer be the singing realtor? I mean, it just literally aha moment. I was like, well, I can be. So that's what I started putting on everything. The singing realtor. I would put it on my return address at the top. If I hand wrote anything, it always said Carol Shermer, the singing realtor. People started seeing that. Then they saw it on my name writer on the signs. Then they'd start asking questions about it. Anytime there was like self-promotion in the newspaper, which we used to have to physically type up a press release, mail it to the newspaper, I would put the singing realtor. And then suddenly it became this thing where people would see me and they didn't even say, oh, hi, Carol. They would say, oh, it's the singing realtor. And it was my peers across the county that were actually driving this. And they thought it was funny. But then they didn't think it was funny because it got me a lot of acknowledgement across the network, and then people would call on me. So the one thing I did do is, this was back when landlines were still popular. I didn't have a cell phone for years because they didn't exist. So when people would call the office, if they didn't reach me, they would then call my home phone number. So I started changing the home answering machine to the song of the day. And it was branded as the singing realtor and whatever the tune of the day was. And people were calling that for the song of the day, which again, I didn't know they were even doing this. I thought it was like later in life, I'm like, this is crazy that I even thought about it, but it worked. And so it was really a cool experience. It taught me all about personal branding.
That's terrific. So obviously we want to hear you sing one of the songs of the day. So can you do that for us?
I can. So hopefully I can remember. I thought about this. Okay, so at Christmas, I would do, the whole month of December was Christmas songs. So any Christmas carol. So I'll do this one. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey, this is the singing realtor and I can't come to the phone. So leave your name and number and a message at the tone.
That's great. Yay. I love that. Oh, that's terrific. So let's shift gears a little bit now and tell us how you first got acquainted with United Way Next. And were you involved before you became CEO?
I was involved before I became the
I
CEO.
thought.
Yes. So, first of all, I remember receiving upon arrival at the United Way of Greater McHenry County, a packet of information inviting me to be a member of the United Way Retirees Association. So 2017, I was like, get this package and think to myself, well, I'm not looking to retire yet. What's this all about? So reading the materials, talking to my board chair, he said, oh no, this is a rich resource community of retirees and alumni who help serve the network in a greater way. And he described this to me and I said, well, that sounds amazing, but I wasn't yet intrigued enough to join individually until Amber, the former CEO, had reached out along with Christina Lawrence, who's on our team. And they said, we want to invite you as a pre-retiree, because they had heard that I was leaving the United Way of Greater McHenry County, said, do you want to join? So I took the time to meet with them virtually with a group of other potential retirees to learn more about United Way Next and all of the programs and services that were offered. And I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was just an amazing resource for our local United Ways and our members, right? For people like myself to engage. And made the decision then in the spring to join as a leadership circle member. And then obviously found out about this opportunity and said, I guess it's all meant to be.
So what made you decide to apply? Because I know that you had retired. And so what made you decide that this was the thing that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, so I really needed to take a pause in my career. And so a lot of people questioned me when I said I was retiring. I legitimately, my husband and I planned for this. We were so excited to not be working and be together and be in our happy place in Florida. I got there last November, spent, most of the winter until March when I saw the job posting, and literally by the middle of March was having this moment of what's next for me. I had a great time visiting my children, my grandchildren. I spent a lot of time in the community having fun. I played Rummy Cube every day, which is one of my favorite board games, plenty of cornhole, lots of traveling. I was to Texas 6 times in 7 months and really just stepped back and took a pause and said, what is it that I want to do now in this next phase of life? And I had been involved with the United Way of Illinois, serving on their board of directors, but I just felt like there was something else. And when I saw the job posting and I read the position and what it all entailed and reflected back on what I knew about this association, I kind of chuckled and said, no, you're not going there, Carol, because I know how I am, right? I'm going to get excited and I'm going to want to do this and I'm going to put a lot into it. And I didn't want to lose sight of the time I've had with my family and the freedom, right, in retirement to kind of have fun. And so then I said, you know what, I'm going to talk to my husband about it. And we had a really long discussion around, the importance of finding value in your life and meaningful purpose at this phase of life, and the ability for me to really give back to this network in a way that would be a national focus, not just local United Way, not just my local state association, but really in a bigger way. And I've always felt, as I described earlier, that when I was called to serve at the United Way, it was because of this pulling on my heartstrings. There's more to this. There's, you're meant to serve in a bigger way. And I just kept feeling that. And so I kept trusting my gut and saying, if this is where I'm supposed to go, the opportunity will present itself. And if it doesn't work out, then that's okay, because I'm still a member and I can still be involved and I can be on the board, or I can be helping with a program committee or whatever, and I trusted the process, which I haven't always, been patient enough to trust a process, but I said, let the process work itself out. And here we are.
Here we are. So you've been on the job for 7 days now. So I know you have all the answers already, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I don't think so.
What excites you most about leading United Way Next?
Well, I think it's obvious that I'm a connector, and my connection is really to people. And each and every individual that I've met so far, from the journey of applying to now being on board, to being at Worldwide last week in Alexandria with Keith, and just spending time with some of the leadership team members, as well as talking with the network engagement team and board member, United Way Next board members and the work group chairs, and just the rich resources that are at our fingertips. And so building this connection of community leaders is so important to me. I mean, it fills me up, right? Every phone call, every conversation, I'm just feeling like this is such a great role for me. And I just see such great potential. I'm someone who, when I look at an opportunity, I don't just walk through the door. I really investigate, do my research, give consideration to the important work that's being done. And if after further investigation, it still feels like that, yes, I want to do this, then I go right through the door and it's guns a-blazing, like, I'm going to take the world by storm and feel good about it, right? And I'm just listening and learning so much already in 7 days, which is really exciting. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, we are thrilled to have you, as you know, and we're all here to support you. So we'll be there for you. So have you had a chance to think about what your priorities might be, and what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, those are big things to think about,
They
right?
are.
Especially with
Yes.
seven whole days under my belt. So
Yeah.
what I first and foremost realized is United Way Next is a community of United Way leaders. And we all come with a United Way background, whether we are retirees who have, been retired now for a period of time, or alumni, people who have left the network but have been a part of a United Way at some point. And then there's a ton of people on the call today that I recognized from all the different associations I have with United Way leaders that are current staff. And so these are really the three areas of target audiences for us, the people that are, retirees, the alumni, and those current staff. And it's really taking all of these leaders and bringing them together through United Way Next as our members that can help uplift our association and the community across the country, right? Or across the world, of United Way leaders who could benefit from the work that we're doing. And so I just want to ensure we elevate our brand, right? Elevate United Way Next. People have already asked me, is this a local United Way? Where are you at? What is this about? And helping educate and inform so people then get engaged and inspired and say yes to wanting being a part of what we're doing. And knowing that our door is open and we want to hear from people. So if you've got a pressing need, a concern, or what have you, I want you to feel comfortable that you can reach out. And we may not have all the answers, but we will look to find the resources to connect you to the right people who can help get you what you need. And developing, again, that reputation of like a go-to resource across the network so that we can uplift our local United Way leaders and their teams and our state associations in a way that may be different than what we've done before. And then begin working closely with United Way Worldwide as a key partner so that they know that we're here to support the network in partnership with them, developing some programs. We have some really great programs already, but drawing upon that, really fine-tuning them, having like a standard of excellence that we follow so that everyone who comes into this network knows this is a part of like who we are, right? We're going to work at the highest level, the best capacity, giving the most quality programs and services. So, I mean, that's a little bit of where I'm at these days.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Those are such great strategies. So, is there anything else that you want to share with us that we haven't already asked you about?
Well, I do want to extend an invitation to everyone on the call for two things, because it wouldn't be right for Carol not to make an ask. Right? and I'm going to be, this is an invitation to participate in our social gathering. So United Way Next hosts a social gathering every year somewhere across the country. We haven't been able to do that the last several years due to the pandemic, but we are excited about the fact that the Tollins are hosting us in Louisville, Kentucky at the end of September. So if you haven't already heard about it, we're still taking reservations. You can come book your hotel. We have all that set up on our website. And join us on September 27th through October 1st for some fun and maybe some cornhole. You never know. And then if you're not already a member of United Way Next, shoot me an email or send me a note and let me know how I can connect with you so I can explain more about what we're doing and how we can help support you in this journey. We'd love to have a conversation about that.
So, Carol, do you want to share your email address with everybody on the call since you just have a brand new one now?
Yes, absolutely. So I think Caitlin can put it in the chat so everyone can see it. My first name is spelled with an E on the end. So if you ever leave that off, it's going to be tough to find me, but it's carol.peters@uww.unitedway.org. And it's in the chat, so you can go ahead and grab that if you'd like. Shoot me over an email, even any feedback that you have on today and just kind of how you're feeling about things. We're just looking to be connected. One of my colleagues coined me the chief dot connector, and I loved as a kid playing the game dot to dot. So I can reassure you that I never was great at coloring. That wasn't my forte, but connecting the dots is my thing. So if there's a need and you're like, Carol, I've been waiting or help, looking for someone to help connect me to something, reach out to me and let me know what that is and let me see what I can do to support you in your journey and introduce you to other people across the network that can help lift you up in your journey today.
Sounds good. So we do have a question from Dick Aft. And if anybody else has a question, please feel free to put it in the chat because we do have a few extra minutes. So Carol, how can United Way Next members be of most help to you?
Oh, that's a great one. I thought Dick was going to ask me something really tough and I was going to say, oh my gosh, how am I going to answer that? So for people who don't know, Dick Aft is our emeritus board member, and he is like the chief historian of all things United Way. He hosts a fabulous program called History Hangouts. If you haven't been a part of it, is something, if you've been in the network for a while and you really want to get to know more about Dick and his passion for the United Way, join one of those. So what I would really benefit from our members is positive feedback when something's going well, because sometimes people forget to share the good, right? Let's celebrate the wins, no matter the size. And I'm expecting we're going to have lots of little wins that'll build up to something big and we'll all be cheering, right? But definitely love to hear the positive. And then if there is something that you're like, there's this need, and for some reason this doesn't seem to be on anyone's radar, let me know what that need might be, because the more that we can listen and learn and gather this insight from all of our members, from the local United Way, state associations, everyone, it's going to help us look forward and say, these are some common themes that we're hearing and seeing, and then we can do something about it. So great question.
Okay, here's another one from Rob Mackey. I saw that you had a minor in psychology in college. Tell us about that.
Interesting. So, when I worked in higher education, the one thing I learned is that when students don't go to their faculty advisor to change their course curriculum plan, they don't get acknowledgement for the work that they've done. So my degree on my transcript says that I have a major in speech and theater with a minor in psychology, but I actually took the course credits and the required courses to have a major in psychology. When I went to college, I went to Concordia University, which is a Lutheran school in the Chicago area. My parents didn't really believe in college educations. They thought, I'm an entrepreneurial spirit. My dad was a, very successful businessman. I could have just gone into business and been successful. Education wasn't a priority. But for some reason, I felt it was important to go to school. And I said, I want to eventually, have this degree. So I started down the road of psychology and business, and quickly learned that business wasn't necessarily my favorite thing because it had to do with numbers and I wasn't great at math. But psychology was like the people side of the business, right? And so I immediately was drawn to all those psychology courses. I can't say that I got an A in every single class, but I do think that my experience and over my lifetime, along with that educational experience, I've learned a lot about people. And so I've drawn upon those experiences, and I don't always say I've got it figured out, but I will say that I try to be focused on using my emotional intelligence when I'm working with people and really think about who the people are that I'm meeting and meeting them where they are versus assuming they're going to want to just come along in the journey and follow along or do what it is that we're trying to encourage them to do and really get to know people. So that's a great question. I haven't thought about that psychology minor for a long time.
Okay, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Does anybody out there want to pose a question to Carol before we wrap up? It looks like you've answered everybody's questions, Carol.
I was worried about all the tough questions today, so thank you.
Oh, okay. It looks like Mark Levy is asking something. It says a priority is DEI, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's a good, I think that's what he's saying. So
yeah,
absolutely.
So
Yep, diversity, equity, and inclusion is definitely on our radar. It is something we've developed a work group around. Of course, I've only been here 7 days, so I don't know all the intricate details yet of that group, but it is certainly important to us. It's important for us as an organization that we're using, that we're thinking about that with all that we're doing, but it's also equally important that we might be able to provide some additional support to the network, especially since the membership certification has this big requirement about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is, not new for most of us who are United Way leaders. We were working on that the last couple of years. But what can we do to leverage that program and that area of opportunity to help with that? So thank you for the question, Mark. And I understand you might be on that DEI group. So I'll be looking to you.
It was a loaded question.
Some good intel on that, right?
All right, let's see if there's anything else here before we, doesn't look like it. So we are good. Keith, do you want to add anything or make any comments?
I want to take a moment and acknowledge something that Keith has been here, has worked in the United Way network for 39 years.
Yes.
And his anniversary, August 15th, 1983. And we as a staff knew that. And I just want to lift him up in this moment and say, what dedication and service to the community, and so many local United Ways that benefited, and state associations, and the interim work that he's done. And it's just, and he's been so gracious and kind working with me over the last several months as I've been coming on board. And so I just thank you for everything you've done for me, for our United Way Next, and our network as a whole. You're a great role model and leader for all of us.
Amen.
Thank you. But really, I pretend it's just my 39th birthday. No, I am really excited about the future of this organization. And with Carol's leadership and the board, it's going to be very dynamic. And for those of you who have maybe recently just become a member, you're going to be in for a treat. Get involved. There's so much you can do, and the network. There is a lot of opportunity to support the network in so many different ways. So, even as you thought about, well, what can you do? And many of you have mentioned that what you can do. Keep thinking about ways we can use your talent throughout this network in so many different ways. So I'm just excited how Carol is going to take the dot connecting leadership role that she does well and really makes this a lot of fun, and will continue to have fun. What would United Way professionals be without having a lot of fun?
That's
when we
true.
get together And
Yes.
hopefully there'll be more opportunities to get together, maybe perhaps in just a year, once a year, or do it regionally, or just the sky can be the limit. So help us make this success. And if a few more folks can show up to Louisville, I'm sure we can even add in a karaoke that Carol.
Oh, yes, that sounds like
along with cornhole, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll find an expert with Carl Zapora can teach us all how to play pickleball.
Exactly. So before we leave, I just want to thank everybody for being on the call today. I think it's very, very clear that we made the right decision in hiring Carol. And Carol, thank you so much. This has been a great opportunity to get to know you better. So thank you very, very much. And we look forward to much, much success going forward.
Thank you, everybody. It's so much fun. I can't wait to meet everybody. And thank you, Deborah, for your leadership.
Great comments too. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.